Howard J. Dingers. And this is 3 Count Review.
Welcome to Monday Night Raw!
Monday Night Raw edition. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Howard J. Dingers, and welcome to 3 Count Review, presented by First Round KO, the Monday Night Raw edition. Today, joining me in studio is Mr. Callahan Steed.
Hello.
Okay, so before we get into the actual Raw review, because we really don't need to spend too much time on this episode, I want to get your thoughts on Crown Jewel.
I really like this pay-per-view. And the reason why I say that is because Thanksgiving's just around the corner, right?
Yep.
And I was trying to think of ways of how I could be thankful for things. And I'm really thankful for wrestling back in like the 90s and early 2000s when it was in its golden age. It makes me remember that, you want to know what? They're good times. And also, too, this makes me appreciate things a lot more. I'm just kidding. I hated this pay-per-view with a burning passion. Oh, I didn't watch it because this is why. This pay-per-view is literally why I do not spend $9.99 a month on WWE Network. I will not watch your C- level pay-per-views, WWE, for $9.99. I will rather just get them off the internet on Twitter and follow it from there. And so, that is my opinion on Crown Jewel. How was your opinion?
Oh, God. So, if anyone wants to hear my full rant, I'm going to call it, about Crown Jewel, go check out the podcast, First Round KO. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. I give a full, like I said, it's a full rant. I just go all, I hated this. This was terrible. All the matches were terrible. They were Monday Night Raw matches. And the booking was weird. The last 3 matches in particular, like, if you cut out those last 3 matches, it was a decent house show. But those last 3 matches just made me so PO'd. Like, I can't even... The whole Shane McMahon thing.
Hulk Hogan kicking off the show in Saudi Arabia. Could you imagine? Could you? How funny would it have been? Miz gets hurt. SmackDown. We need a competitor, and then all of a sudden you hear, "I am proud to be an American."
Oh my God! Well, I can't think of a better host for the Saudi Arabia show.
Yeah.
It was a complete joke.
Yeah.
It was a complete joke. Now, apparently, the reports are that this whole Shane McMahon angle with the World Cup planned from the very start.
Yeah, I had read that it was some sort of heel turn, which, one, I don't get. You don't need to make McMahon a heel. Yeah. Because, one, frankly, I'm tired of McMahon drama. That has been going on for years upon years, and I'm just sick and tired of it.
What has made Raw so bad, and I mean, not recently because Stephanie's not on there, but like over the past 5 years.
Every year.
They have a heel McMahon authority figure, and it doesn't always work. It works every once in a while, bringing it back and getting some good babyface rub off of it, but you're not getting that.
And how is, like, The Miz is the most, like, guy that you have over as a heel right now,
Why not do it? They set it up perfectly where Ray was injured earlier in the night because of this vicious Randy Orton attack.
They could have had Ray make it to the finals and then
exactly
McMahon be like, no, I've got this. And then there's your heel turn, which you don't need. And also, too, like, McMahon's, like, pretty well respected among, like, every time Here Comes the Money comes out, gets a pop.
People love him.
And, like, he jumps off buildings, like.
I don't get it. I really just don't get it. So,
I guarantee you this was also their feeling, too. Obviously, the best in the world shot at CM Punk. Let's be real. Let's call it like it is. And Kenny Omega, too, I feel like is another shot. But CM Punk in particular, I guarantee you Vince was like, oh, you know how, or whoever, Vince McMahon, surrounded by a bunch of yes men pretty much in that boardroom. To little throwback to CM Punk there, millionaire that should be a billionaire, but I guarantee you, they're sitting in the meeting room and they're like, "Oh, you want to know what would be hilarious if best in the world was my son Shane McMahon?" Like, just
Yeah, that's the thing. In WWE
and they're all
canon,
like, "Yeah, that sounds like a good plan, boss," because we apparently can't tell Vince McMahon no.
in WWE canon, Shane McMahon can call himself the best in the world. And that's just... And like I said, we're going to have to see what happens tonight on SmackDown. Maybe they don't take that angle. I think they will. It sounds like that's been the plan for a while, but I'm just not.
If this leads to a WrestleMania match between Miz and McMahon instead of Miz versus Bryan.
Oh my God, I didn't even think of that.
I just thought about that until now.
I would be so upset.
Because remember, I mean, McMahon Styles turned out okay, but you remember how disappointed we were when it was McMahon versus Styles at WrestleMania?
Yeah. There's so many other... Styles is only going to be wrestling for a limited time. I think he himself has even said he's only wrestling for another year to 3 years. Like, because he's 40 years old, which is understandable. We wasted a WrestleMania AJ Styles match on Shane McMahon.
And also booked him to lose to Chris Jericho, too. And the Nakamura match could have been better. How about that?
And then, I think it was before that, actually, Brock Lesnar won the championship again. And that's more pertinent to the show.
What, 5 minutes? In under what, 5 minutes was it?
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yep.
3 minutes and 20 seconds, something like that. It was short. It was terrible. It, quote-unquote, protected Strowman. I don't think it really did.
No, it didn't.
It made him look so bad.
The dude survived getting run over by Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Survived getting thrown into a garbage truck, but can't take one blow to the head from the title. You want to know how you protect Strowman when Corbin does that? He turns around like most. Just think of someone like Kane or Big Show, when like they would try hitting him with a steel chair, they would just turn around.
Yeah.
You do that, and then Strowman hits him with a running power slam, and then you have the match.
And you have a more competitive match.
Yeah.
You can't have a squash match. That was a squash match. You can call it a protected squash match, but it was still a squash match.
Oh, also makes Brock... Another thing, too, that I'm getting really sick and tired of WWE doing. Finishers aren't finishers anymore.
No.
5 F5s? How many did it take to beat Roman? 6?
That's what, I don't remember who it was, but I've heard someone say in the wrestling business, like, a finisher is called a finisher because it's supposed to finish a match.
Like, I could even see, like, all right, kick out, like, 3 at the max should be used in
But in
match.
this year alone, we've now seen Roman kick out of how many? Like, 10 in the 2 matches that they've had. And now Strowman's kicked out of, like, 5 more. Like, it's a setup move to itself. It's ridiculous. That match. And now we're back to square one. We're back to a champion who doesn't show up to Raw, and the show suffered from it. And it's going to continue to suffer.
And then my favorite part of thinking is, think of all the mainstream exposure the belt's going to get for Lesnar versus Cormier.
He wasn't even at UFC 230.
What I don't get is their mindset is, obviously, you know what sports comments look like. You know, when Sports Center talks about WWE, when ESPN talks about... Fans don't care. Like, WWE has a nice fan base carved out. I don't understand why they go and try to please another fan base that's not going to accept them instead of trying to please the ones that already accept them.
Tom said it really well last week on SmackDown, on the SmackDown review. Because he's a wrestling fan and he's also a UFC fan, and he's able to separate like his thought process for each of them. He said, as a UFC fan, that's a smack in the face to bring a WWE championship to a fight. Like, if Brock were to show up to a UFC fight holding the Universal Championship, that's kind of a slap in the face to actual UFC fans and actual people in the UFC, because he's holding an entertainment title. I don't like to use the word fake. So, but like, it's a wrestling championship, not a fighting championship, and bringing that to an actual fight, just.
Or another favorite part that I just thought of. Or how about let's have the Brothers of Destruction versus DX go on for way too long and tear Triple H's pec in the process, which is going to probably ruin Triple H versus Batista at WrestleMania.
Yep, it is.
Yep.
And that match, I have to admit, Shane McMahon was really good. Or not, Jesus. Shawn Michaels was really good in that match. Triple H, obviously, his performance lacked because of the thing. Undertaker still looks like he has for the past 5 years. He looks better than he has recently, but he's still not the Undertaker of old, and Kane is Kane. Man. And now, apparently, so the rumor with Shawn was that if this match would have went well, that he was going to come back for a couple dream matches. But by the looks of it, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Shawn ever again. Not, I mean, obviously on TV he'll show up every once in a while.
I just don't get WWE's logic of Crown Jewel has been marred in controversy. Absolutely just drowned to death in controversy. You would think the one thing that they would want to do is have this go as quietly as possible and just move on. Now,
the interesting thing as we roll into the Raw review, they never said Crown Jewel. I don't think I ever heard the words Crown Jewel once on this show. They kept saying this Friday on the WWE Network, this past Friday on the WWE Network, this happened. Corbin cost Strowman the title. We had this past Friday on the WWE Network, we had DX beat the Brothers of Destruction. This past Friday, blah blah blah, Shane McMahon. I don't think I ever heard the words Crown Jewel. So like, my prediction with that kind of came true, that they really don't want to bring this up ever again, but they wrote themselves into corners where now they have to bring it up, and now they're just going to brush over it. And even in the replays, it doesn't say Crown Jewel in the bottom. You could see the Crown Jewel stuff in the actual pictures and the videos, but it said WWE Network. They actually don't want to talk about this. Crown Jewel was a joke. It was an absolute joke. It made me, if I didn't do this review show, I wouldn't watch Raw anymore. Because
the only reason I watch Raw is because my dad will flip it on, and I'll be like, "Oh, hey, let's watch Strowman, or let's watch Elias." Like
Elias and Seth are the best part, and Ronda are the best parts of the show the last couple of weeks, and that's it. The rest of the show is absolute garbage. All right, so let's get into the actual review. We got about a half hour.
Can be summed up in 5 minutes. Let's be real.
Honestly, so to open up the show, the entire Raw roster was on the stage, and there was security in front of the ring. Baron Corbin comes out with a huge grin on his face, I really do like Corbin in this role. I've said that a couple times. Yeah. Also, before we start, I want to mention, I hate pre-recorded episodes of Raw because they edit in boos and cheers where they want to.
Oh yeah.
You can tell so much that it's so edited. It's so bad. So the crowd boos as the footage of Corbin helps Lesnar win the title, blah, blah, blah. Basically, Corbin came out and he announced, the Becky versus Ronda match, which was already announced. He announced Seth Rollins versus Nakamura. He announced the 5-on-5 Survivor Series matches for both men and women, and he announced Lesnar versus AJ. Basically, they were like, okay, Crown Jewel's done. Now focus on Survivor Series. And yeah, he said he picked Ziggler and McIntyre for the team because he's the captain. He can't wrestle because he's the GM, even though he's wrestled, I believe, 7 times now since he became GM.
Probably just Corbin, or like character Corbin being like, I'll take full credit for it.
Exactly.
I don't have to do any work. I like that.
So his first 2 picks were Ziggler and McIntyre. And then he picks Braun Strowman. Why? I just don't get that. Because now Strowman's not going to be a team player because he's focused on you. So why would you expect him to have brand loyalty in this match? It doesn't make any sense. Oh, that made me really mad. Also, he explained himself for costing Strowman. He used it as a learning moment. He hit Strowman in the back of the head because he needs to respect authority. It was just it was bad. Yeah. Oh, so then he announced that Alexa Bliss will be the captain of the Raw women's team. Bliss comes out kind of looking like a general manager. Bliss says she will follow Corbin's lead, take more of a managerial role. I'm assuming she's still injured, so she will also be the captain, but she won't be wrestling. She books a match. Bliss books the Riot Squad versus Bayley, Sasha, and Natalya. That was terrible. And then she goes, and that match starts, and then Kurt Angle's music hits to interrupt her. Angle cuts the way too long promo and says that when he wrestled at the World Cup, it lit a fire under him and he wants to wrestle more. Last year, he helped Raw to a win at Survivor Series, even though he didn't. He got eliminated. But he said he wants to represent the Raw brand again, which, again, why would he want to represent the Raw brand? Raw brand has been nothing but crap to him. So then Angle challenges Corbin to a match. Later in the night, winner gets to be captain of the Raw team. So Corbin says, okay, sure. And then Alexa tries to say that the match is going to start again, but this time Strowman interrupts, and he power walks to ringside. He beats up the security guards, and then he gets in the ring. Corbin runs away, and then the heels of the roster that are still on the stage, mind you, they attack Corbin, and then the baby faces start fighting with the other heels, and there basically just became a massive brawl. And Strowman escaped through the backstage and started looking for Corbin. And then this was like a night-long storyline of Strowman trying to find Corbin.
I do like the storylines of Strowman just trying to chase down someone, being like, "I'm not finished with you." That always brings a smile.
I do enjoy it, but it
would help if they booked him much better.
It screams to me comedy more than it does main event star. And that's what worries me, that they're going back to like the Kevin Owens feud where Strowman's just like a comedy act, where they're not booking him as a main guy. And that worries me for the future. I don't know. This opening segment was way too long, way too scripted, and it was way too like, okay, Crown Jewel's done, now we have to go to this next show. There's too many shows. It's terrible. Backstage, Natalya said that she's going to wear her dad's glasses to the ring tonight. Okay.
Fair, but, I mean, a nice
also
little
random
touch, but, like...
It felt very forced because of the angle that came with it.
I mean, her dad... When did her dad die?
2 months ago.
Wouldn't it have been smarter to use it then?
Yes.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Maybe, like... Because, like, she maybe was able to move on and, like, I'll let you explain the match, but, like, maybe, like, if they would have done, like, say, like, a couple nights, like, after. Obviously, they weren't, like, the real sunglasses, too, but.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, I'll explain. So, we get the Riot Squad versus Banks, Bayley, and Natalya, and I don't want to go through this match. Towards the end of the match. Who was it? Sarah Logan gets into a sharpshooter from Natalya, and Natalya's facing the outside of the ring. And outside of the ring, Ruby Riott grabs the sunglasses, Natalya's father's sunglasses, and Riott snaps them in half. And then the Riott Squad, and Natalya kind of lets go of the sharpshooter. The Riott Squad get together, and they walk out. They just leave after the glasses snapping. And then Natalya, Banks, and Bayley, like Natalya's on the outside of the ring crying, very uncomfortably. She's a terrible actor, I might have to say, but it's still uncomfortable. And then Banks and Bayley are trying to console her. Why did the match stop?
There are so many ways they could have went about that. Like, have Natalya just absolutely lose her cool and
have Sarah Logan roll her up after the glasses.
Yeah, or like even like Natalya just like full on like chases someone like out of the ring and they count to 10. Why was it just like, all right, well that's the end of the match?
And that's the thing. The crowd picked up on it, and the crowd counted to 10. I don't know if you heard that, but the crowd was like 1, 2, and they counted 10, ding, and then they yelled ding, ding, ding. But it was just no contest. That's why this feels so forced to me. They only introduced these glasses for this one spot. If you were to introduce these glasses weeks ago, months ago, and then built up as they're so important to her. She puts them on before her match, and then she'll take them off for the match, and then she'll put them back on for her celebration. And they're super important to her because they're her father's glasses. Then this spot might mean more. But they were only introduced for this one spot. And it fell short. It fell flat.
Literally the only thing different than, I mean, we've seen this tag match for almost feels like 2 months now.
I actually heard an interesting stat on this.
Well, one, this match went on extremely long.
In the last 7 months, how many matches do you think Sasha Banks has had against any iteration of the Riot Squad?
God. Probably 90% of her matches have been.
I don't know the percentage of it. I know the actual numbers.
What's the actual number?
16. 16 matches.
My God.
It's just ridiculous. And these matches aren't even bad. They're actually decent matches because all 6 of these, I should say 5 in Natalia. I'm not a huge fan of Natalia, but all of these people are good wrestlers. They put on good matches all the time.
Natalia is like, I don't know. I give Natalia a lot of credit for how she is as a wrestler because of the era that she was at one point wrestled in. So for me, like, Liv Morgan is the one where I'm like, eh.
Really, she's improved so much lately. She's been really good. I like her.
But anyway, so 5 of the 6 competitors.
Just bad because now we've had this match over and over and over again. We've had it 3 times in the last 2 weeks.
And you know what this means? The feud gets extended.
Exactly, and we're going to see this match again. This was just terrible. This was bad. Backstage, Strowman stomps around looking for Corbin. Then we had Jinder Mahal versus Apollo Crews. And this was just to remind us that, hey, we kind of like Apollo, and we might want to push him at some point.
That's literally the most accurate description I've heard. Hey, what's WWE's opinion on Apollo Crews? I think they like him and they want to push him at some point.
We might want to push him, so we'll give him this win over Jinder Mahal. Yeah, Crews hits the Gorilla Press into the standing moonsault for the win. That's all I have to say on this match. I will say Apollo Crews is very entertaining in the ring. Like he is very athletic. He's very good. He just has no charisma, and he's not a very good talker. He did a selfie promo before the match.
Dude, those selfie promos gotta stop.
They're stupid. I hate them. I hate them so much. Not even John Cena could make one look good.
Samoa Joe, solid.
Samoa Joe can make anything solid, but that's because it's Samoa Joe. Next, we had...
Oh, speaking of Crown Jewel, to go back, or speaking of Samoa Joe, I mean, I know he probably wasn't booked in the long term to win. Yeah, not gonna lie, I feel like his credibility is a little bit damaged now.
Yep. Him, Nakamura, and Strowman have all been just completely damaged.
And this is why you don't drag on feuds occasionally.
Because now Nakamura is 0 for 5 in WWE Championship matches. Samoa Joe is 0 for 4. And Braun Strowman is like 0 for 5 or 0 for 6 or something like that. Like, that's... How can you see them as credible champions anymore? I don't get it. I don't get it. Next in the ring, we had Seth Rollins, who actually looked really dope. He had the Intercontinental Championship around his waist. And then he had both tag team belts like around his neck, like Cena used to do with the WWE and World Heavyweight. So he looked really dope coming out. My first thought was, how did he get the tag belt from Dean? But then I realized that I don't think Dean ever took the tag belt. Could
you imagine? Hey, can I have that back?
Yeah. Hey, I know you hate me. Can I just have your tag belt real quick? So Seth came out, and he actually twisted this Lesnar thing in a way that I didn't even think about. He said that Corbin helping Lesnar win the Universal title was a slap in the face to Roman Reigns, and that he undid everything that Roman worked for. And that was actually because now the title's not on Raw. That was a really good twist. I kind of like that. And I really hope that leads into Rollins beating Lesnar at some point.
I like how they talk, though. They make a great point there. But just... Okay, Rollins brings up literally all the points to the fans. WWE clearly writes that, but yet they still book Lesnar as a champion.
Yep.
Yep.
That's literally them saying, hey, we know what we did, and we know how you feel about it, but you got to live with it. Rollins says he would call out Ambrose, but he knows Ambrose wouldn't come to the ring, and he says he can't defend 2 championships at once, and he starts to speak, but Corbin interrupts him on the screen, while the security in the background is setting a barricade up by the door because he's still running from Strowman, so that's good. But he says that Rollins can defend both titles at once, and he has to right now against these guys. And the AOP come out, and I got really excited for a second. So we had a Raw Championship tag team match. Seth Rollins and Dean, if he were to ever show up and interfere or to get involved in the match, like if he wanted to, he could insert. Obviously, he's the champion, so it's Seth Rollins versus the Authors of Pain. This was a really good match. This is one of the best handicap matches I've ever seen.
This was solid.
I forget how good the AOP actually are, and it probably helps that they were wrestling Seth Rollins because Seth Rollins is just amazing. But yeah, this was. It was actually credible. There were actually some really good near falls that Rollins had. Like, oh man, is he actually going to keep these belts? But no, we had. Let's see here. Rollins he threw Akam out of the ring, lands a frog splash on Razor. Razor kicked out. The AOP then hit the powerbomb neckbreaker combo for the win. And new Raw Tag Team Champions, the Authors of Pain, which the crowd did not pop for. So that's cool. But I guess the titles weren't even the point of this segment because after the match, after the AOP left, Rollins is still in the ring. Ambrose walks out, grabs a mic, sits in the ring, or goes into the ring and says, you actually want to know why I did what I did? And Rollins keeps asking him, like, why? Why did you do it? And then Rollins just drops the mic, Dirty Deeds, and leaves. Dirty Deeds selling by Rollins was amazing. He just landed and then just stayed there. Like he was just dead. He was knocked out cold. This was good. I was hoping Ambrose would grab the mic and not say anything. Like grab the mic and like start to say something, but then just hit the deeds. That would have been, in my opinion, a little better, but I can't fault it. This is good. Just progressing the storyline. I think my prediction is that Ambrose is going to cost Rollins his Survivor Series match in some way, because that gives Nakamura a good win.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nakamura versus Rollins, though?
I know. I'm so excited for that match. You have no idea. They're two of my favorite wrestlers. But yeah, what do you think about the new tag team champions, though?
I like it.
Yeah.
This is solid. What we were hoping for from the start.
Mm-hmm.
AOP are very solid. This kind of gives a nice little reset on the tag team division. I like this more than a tournament because I mean they had just recently did a tournament back at WrestleMania for the WrestleMania match.
And it's also nice because it's actually a decent callback because the AOP have been kind of Corbin's henchmen.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of a reward for helping him out. There's actually good kind of continuity there. Interesting. What do you think about the prospect of AOP versus the Bar at Survivor Series? I didn't even think about it until just now.
That could be a solid match as well, too. I mean, I feel like Cesaro and Sheamus, Cesaro's obviously worked really well as a face, and Sheamus was a face for a really long time, so I feel like they're probably going to be the faces in the match.
I didn't even think of that. That could be interesting.
And I think that could be a match that's really solid, too.
I agree. Backstage, we had more Strowman can't find Corbin, destroys some more security guards. So then we had an in-ring segment with Dolph Ziggler and no McIntyre for whatever reason. Ziggler says that it doesn't matter how Crown Jewel ended. Ziggler is the best in the world, and it's a conspiracy because he pointed out McIntyre got thrown out immediately before the match even started, and then and that was by a SmackDown referee. Miz got the jump on him, and then a fresh Shane McMahon came in to win. So, like, I hope they play into that on SmackDown. We'll see what happens tonight. I really hope they play into that because that's an interesting story. I don't know. We'll see. And then Elias appears on the stage, which was awesome.
I just love how he appears from nowhere.
Yeah. The lights just turn on and he's there. It was perfect.
I like how he's always just like, hello, I am Elias.
And the crowd started chanting. This was my favorite part. Elias has been my favorite part of Raw the last couple of weeks. Elias, he was out there, and before he just played a little bit on his guitar like he does, and the crowd started saying, "Oh, walk with Elias."
It was perfect. They did the seven.
Right, they did the Seven Nation Army. The crowd was kind of like three parts of it. We're all doing it at different times. They were off like kilter. But Elias just, because it dies down, and he just all of a sudden goes, dun, 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 on his guitar. And the crowd immediately, the entire crowd started doing it on cue. It was awesome. Elias is so good with crowd manipulation.
And then the line that he had, I mean, like, I thought it was funny, just like, I don't know the band, but like saying like, oh,
Oasis.
And if I sang this song, they're going to get back together.
He said Oasis
Everyone
was going to get back
cheers.
together, and everyone's like, yeah! yeah, because I think that must be a London or a UK thing. Well, Elias is just so good, and then he sang a pretty decent song, and then Ziggler said, why don't you just shut up and come to the ring? Elias said, I thought you'd never ask. They walked to the thing, and this was, and then the commercial break. Come back from the commercial break. Match was made official. Ziggler versus Elias. As much credit as I give Elias for his promos and his songs and his charisma and everything like that,
In-ring work a little bit.
he lacks in the ring.
Yeah.
Specifically against Dolph, when Dolph just does freaking sleeper holds for the majority of the match. That didn't help. But, yeah, this match was not very good.
You know what? I will give credit to Vince McMahon. Like, Vince McMahon deserves a lot of criticism, but I will give him credit for finding guys like Braun Strowman and Elias, guys that either A, didn't go to NXT, or B, were in NXT but didn't do much, and then get promoted to the main roster. They've done an amazing job.
Yeah.
Like, with Elias, like, the character build-up that they've done, excellent.
I completely agree. This match, towards the end, Elias needs Ziggler in the face for a near fall, and then an electric chair powerbomb by Elias. Another near fall. Ziggler lands a zigzag. Elias gets his foot on the rope for a great near fall. I really thought Elias was going to lose.
That's another thing that they should do, too. If they want to use finishers so bad, do like the foot on the rope.
I like the foot on the rope.
Hold.
I like rolling out of the ring like McIntyre does later in the night. I like that kind of stuff. I don't like a finisher and a kick out, and then a finisher and then a kick out.
Or even like throwback to like Ambrose and Triple H at Roadblock. Ambrose has 30 deeds, covers Triple H, but instead of rolling like being like inside the ring, he's more outside the ring. Ref hits 3 and then realizes, oh, your foot's outside the ring.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, stuff like that. I really like that.
It still makes the finisher look solid, but like.
Or the other thing I like too, when you hit, something like a super kick where they don't necessarily have to hit the ground. Like, I see this with Roman every once in a while. He'll get hit with a super kick. He'll bounce kind of off the ropes, hit a Superman punch, and then fall dead because of the super kick into the pin cover. Like, something like that still sells the other finisher. So, I do like that stuff. Eventually, Elias hit the drift away for the win. Elias won clean. I like that.
Good to see Elias getting a victory, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Backstage, Angle says he's fired up and he's going to beat Corbin tonight. Oh, it's true. It's dang true. Because we're on the radio. Yep. In-ring segment with Ronda Rousey. She's been getting really good on promos. I'm not going to go through the entire promo because you honestly should just go watch it. But she really just calling out Becky Lynch because they're going to feud at Survivor Series. So the main thing was that she had this weird line about her mom waking her up trying to break her arm, which was weird. And then she said Becky Lynch went to clown college. I don't know if that's true.
Oh, hang on. I'm getting a call. Yes, hello, Child Protective Services.
For real. That was my first thought, too. And then, so Rousey says, Lynch may call herself the man, but I am the baddest bee
Bleep.
on the planet. Good line. Crowd pop for it. Ronda starts to leave. Nia Jax comes out, and Jax says that Ronda is fighting for all the women in the locker room. And when Rousey is done making Lynch tap out, Jax wants Rousey to remember that she is next in line. This was weird, and Nia Jax is terrible at promos. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So then we had Nia Jax versus Ember Moon. Ember Moon is really good at wrestling. That's all I could think about when I watched this match. She's so good at selling. She's just good. She's just so good. But towards the end of this match, Moon set up for a tornado DDT, but Jax shrugs Moon off. Moon hits the ropes, launches into the air, and hits a pop-up Samoan drop for the win. Nia Jax wins clean. Now, after the match, Tamina comes to the ring to no pop again.
Wow, what a shocker.
So Tamina and Jax stare at each other. Tamina picks up Ember Moon, and Samoa drops her. Worse Samoan drop than Nia Jax. Tamina's not that good. And then Jax just kind of watches, and Jax is like, again, terrible actor. She's like, oh, what are you doing? What should I do? Do I defend? Blah. It was bad. So then,
Fun
Jax-
fact: these a lot of these people are women are on Total Divas too.
Oh, interesting.
Like you'd think they'd be able to act more, or they're so good, just being like reality TV where you don't have to do like a whole lot of like. You can just do like, we're gonna follow the camera as go. Let them do improv or something.
Exactly. Jax then, after being all confused, she tells Tamina to turn Moon over. So Tamina puts Moon into a Boston Crab, and Jax starts elbow dropping her repeatedly to the back of the head. Jax and Tamina hug in the ring and celebrate. New tag team?
Yeah, I mean, didn't Stephanie McMahon announce that?
That's what I heard.
There's gonna be a women's tag team.
I heard someone mention that, but I don't know when she said that. I haven't heard any report about that, but I've heard other people talking about it, so I'm gonna have to look into that.
Oh, by the way, same match. Boy, this is another repetitive match too.
Jax versus and Jax has been winning, like just burying Ember Moon. Ember Moon hasn't had a storyline. Ember Moon, since she got called up, has not had a legitimate storyline. She's just tag team partners. She has random matches on Raw. Waste of a talent. She's so good. Okay, so then we head backstage. Finn Balor said he's going to even the score against Bobby Lashley tonight. Cool. Another repetitive freaking match that I don't want to see again. Another great wrestler who's being dominated by a worse wrestler because they're bigger and they're heels. Finn Balor's being wasted on the main roster, and it just irritates the heck out of me. Corbin then tells Charlie backstage that he is leaving and that Angle will be facing Drew McIntyre instead of Corbin in the main event tonight. So that was okay, cool. So then we have Lashley versus Balor.
You want to just skip it, move on? Or wait a minute. After the match, I mean, Lashley defeats.
Balor. Lashley wins with the Dominator.
But afterwards, though.
Afterwards, this was good. I did enjoy this. Afterwards, McIntyre walks into the ring, and Lashley and McIntyre stare off. Cool little thing. And then McIntyre tells Lashley to make his move. Rush pulls Lashley out of the ring. That's cool. McIntyre then helps Balor up. And at this point, I was like, oh, face turn? Because he didn't come out with Ziggler earlier.
Yeah.
So I was like, they turning McIntyre face? Like, what are they doing right now? Nope. Sets him up for the
boom! Hits him
kick.
In a Claymore.
Awesome spot. He definitely had me worked.
Maybe
on that
this
one.
moves on. They could move on to Balor versus McIntyre feud if they wanted to, but they won't.
True. So then, of course, we have the main event: Drew McIntyre versus Kurt Angle. Decent match. I just love Drew McIntyre. He's so
this
good.
built up Drew McIntyre so good.
It's now it killed anything. Kurt Angle has been wasted. His return has been wasted. He hasn't been handled at all.
I mean, also too,
2 years.
like he's got limitations in the ring.
Oh no, absolutely. But like, I don't know. Give him some dream matches. Give him a win every once in a while. I don't know the last time he's won a match. I don't know if he has.
I mean,
won a
they
match.
always kind of do this when people come back. The Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys, Angle.
Yeah.
Just you come back, you put people over.
Now, I shouldn't complain because he is putting McIntyre over. It's just it feels. They also on commentary were just like, this must be so embarrassing for Kurt Angle.
Redemption story, prior redemption story, which would
Maybe.
make perfect sense
Against
if
who,
they
though?
did this Survivor Series angle. One, we just talked about how there's way too many things going on. We're 2 weeks away from Survivor Series.
Yep.
They could build this up so good. Angle with the redemption story where he fields his own 5-on-5 team to feud with Corbin and McIntyre's team. But they don't do this because, hey, we'll just have a traditional. That's another thing that's making me mad. Like, they're just throwing around, like, they make it seem like so generic now, like the Survivor Series 5-on-5 team.
Oh, terrible.
It's traditional.
Yeah. So the end of this match was really good. So at one point, Angle hit, like I mentioned earlier, he hit a Angle slam on McIntyre, but McIntyre rolled out to avoid the pinfall. I like that spot a lot. Later in the match, McIntyre was holding Kurt like by the bottom of the face, and he was just like, "You're an embarrassment to yourself. You're an embarrassment to your family. You're an embarrassment to wrestling." Blah blah blah. And he taunted too long. Angle eventually picked the ankle and had him in the ankle lock for a little bit, and then McIntyre reversed it. And then later a little bit later, McIntyre then he actually hits Angle slam. McIntyre hits an angle slam on Kurt Angle and then picks up Kurt and puts him in the ankle lock. And then he eventually fell into it, wrapped his feet around it for the actual traditional ankle lock, and Kurt Angle tapped out. Kurt Angle tapped out to his own submission, to the ankle lock. This made Drew look so good and made Kurt look so terrible. Like the commentary was saying, like, it made him look, it was embarrassing. He tapped out to his own move. See, here's the thing. I don't really care about Kurt Angle, so I'm going to take this as a moral victory in myself because McIntyre looks like the top guy on Raw. Like, him and Seth are the two top people on Raw right now. Like, I think Elias might be the most over. Seth actually is up there too, but Elias might be the most over. Seth and Drew are the best wrestlers and the most over, or the best things going on Raw right now, though.
Yep.
So I hope that's them kind of building the division around those two, and probably Dean is in the mix there too. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, that part of it, because I'm such a big Drew fan. He just looks amazing. He makes everything look so good.
We get to see McIntyre, though. I just remember that at Raw.
Oh, yes.
Throw McIntyre in there. Dude, his entrance music gets
We're going to get to hear Elias actually say something good about Milwaukee. I'm so excited.
I'm ready for that cheap pop.
Yep, and I'm going to mark out for it, so I don't even care. So, overall thoughts. We've kind of already been saying it, but overall thoughts on Raw.
Boy, you might as well call this Raw oatmeal because it was bland. I mean, it wasn't even good for you either. So
it was boring.
Yeah, expired oatmeal. I'll take expired oatmeal. Yes, that's a perfect one for it because it's bland. You probably shouldn't eat it / watch it, and it's not gonna taste very good.
I've been saying that I think the Raw, actually just the creative team in general, have like only half of them went overseas. Only half of them went to Crown Jewel.
All right,
only
half of
them went to...
half of you do Evolution. Half of you do Crown Jewel.
And
at
now,
least they got Evolution right. Could you imagine if they would have pulled the what
That's
they did?
That's because Triple H was in charge. Weird how that works out. Yeah. It was a boring show. Nothing happened. The only good parts, the Seth segment, Elias's performance was good. And McIntyre looks good at the end. It was a weird main event, but McIntyre looks good, so I can't complain too much about that. But yeah, boring show. And again, I'm going to reiterate, this is because we don't have a top championship on Raw.
Yep.
And that's going to continue. That trend is going to continue for the foreseeable future. So, thank you all for listening. Tune in tomorrow for my SmackDown review. Same time, 4 o'clock. Yeah. Thanks, Cal. Thanks, Cal, for being on, of course.
I enjoyed it.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow.
They all watching like what he do with it. It's hypnotic. I'm on a move with it. They all watching like what he do with it. Look at him go. Look at him go.